You know that moment, right? The holiday lights suddenly go up, the Christmas songs start looping in every store, and instead of joy, you just feel this sudden, unsettling wave of anxiety. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why you might be feeling that way, and more importantly, why you absolutely do not need to rush into anything. So I want you to ask yourself something. Is the anxiety you're feeling a genuine sense of loneliness, or is it just the heavy pressure of the holiday season? I mean, when the whole world seems wrapped up in this collective celebration of couples and families, it's incredibly easy to fall into the illusion that literally everyone else is perfectly happy. But let's pause for a second. Have you kind of lost sight of your actual feelings in the middle of all this forced holiday cheer, believing that everyone is happy while you're the only one left out? That's just an illusion, and recognizing that fact is your very first step to letting go of that anxiety. Okay, let's dive into this. Why do we feel so rushed and anxious right now? Well, the core problem is that society has conditioned us to tie our self-worth directly to our relationship status. Think about it. We grow up constantly being asked if we're seeing someone, if we have a partner. And because of this endless questioning, we're unconsciously trained to view being single as some sort of personal deficit or like a sign of failure. But here's the thing, it is completely normal to have periods in your life where you aren't romantically involved. Yet, the accumulated weight of all those societal expectations just keeps pushing you, making you feel like there's this empty void you urgently need to fill. It's absolutely crucial to realize that it's not being without a partner that actually hurts, it's how you view yourself without one. This perspective is literally everything. The pain you're feeling doesn't stem from the sheer fact of being single. It comes from the underlying belief that being single makes you somehow miserable or flawed. Now, your feelings are completely valid, for sure, but the source of that pain is just societal conditioning. It's not a true reflection of your actual worth. If you can shift that view even just a little bit, you're going to find an incredible sense of relief. So let's look at section 1, the agitation, and the actual mechanics behind this anxiety. Consider something called the imaginary gaze. Often, our misery comes from a completely false belief that this imaginary audience is constantly and harshly judging our single status. When you feel miserable sitting alone on a Friday night, it's rarely because you're actually lacking something in that exact moment. It's because you're envisioning what your friends might think or how it looks on social media. And what's wild is that this imaginary audience is far harsher than reality ever would be. Seeking approval from these invisible judges causes significantly more mental anguish than any actual feeling of loneliness. Just stepping away from this invisible trial makes being alone dramatically more peaceful. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the trap of the rushed holiday romance. When we succumb to the pressure and rush to check a relationship box just to meet some holiday timeline, we totally abandon our own natural pace. We end up missing obvious red flags that we would normally spot from a mile away. Worse, we start faking our happiness just to fit in with the seasonal vibe. These superficial, unfulfilling connections lack a real foundation, and they fade rapidly the second the holidays are over. Honestly, when the only reason you're with someone is to avoid being alone, you actually end up feeling even emptier. Which brings us to section 2, the reframe, and a vital shift in perspective. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive thematic difference. We really need to distinguish between isolation and solitude. Isolation is suffering without connection, right? It's lacking a support system and feeling entirely cut off. But solitude, that's simply the peaceful fact of spending time alone by choice. If you have friends and family but consciously choose to spend a quiet evening by yourself, that's not isolation. That is just a quiet, peaceful night. Lacking a support system and simply enjoying your own company are two fundamentally different things. When you're scrolling through your feeds and seeing everyone's glamorous holiday posts, man, it is so hard not to let that internal comparison begin. But remember this, compare yourself only to who you were yesterday, not to the highly edited highlight reels of others today. Measuring your everyday reality against someone else's curated best moments only breeds feelings of powerlessness and inferiority. And once that inferiority takes hold, it absolutely prevents you from making authentic, healthy choices for yourself. Your only true benchmark is your own personal growth. Let's move to and see how this builds into section 3, the empowerment, focusing on actionable mindsets. So, to actually escape the immense pressure of the calendar and competitive friend circles, there are 3 actionable steps you can take to protect your inner peace. First, intentionally step away from social media report battles. Choosing not to compete over who is going where and with whom is a huge, powerful act of self-care. Second, stop letting arbitrary age numbers dictate your timeline. Making choices based on what actually feels right for you, rather than panicking because you hit a certain age, will always lead to fewer regrets. And third, embrace your own pace. Make your own comfort the standard instead of twisting yourself to fit in. There is immense richness in alone time. Those quiet moments contain a deep, unseen value. It's about enjoying your favorite music entirely undisturbed. It's diving into that book you've been wanting to read and getting completely lost in its world. It's making choices entirely by your own senses, without fearing any external judgment. You see, these quiet moments of self-discovery actually clarify who you are. And more importantly, this time spent understanding yourself builds an incredibly solid foundation, making you much stronger and way more grounded for when you do eventually decide to date. So the crucial point is this. We have to stop treating being alone as some defect that needs to be urgently fixed. Accept it for what it really is, a completely valid, peaceful choice. Your heart can be entirely fulfilled without needing to pack every single hour with someone else's company. There is absolutely no need to force yourself into a relationship just to avoid being by yourself. And there's definitely no need to frantically try and fill a perceived void. I want to leave you with this final thought. Instead of comparing yourself to others this season, what if you use this time to finally meet yourself? Instead of getting swallowed up by the seasonal rush, take a pause and truly embrace your own company. You might just find that you are exactly the partner you've been looking for. Thanks so much for tuning in to this explainer, and we'll see you next time.